Day 194 of the Ukrainian war map, also known as Russia's devastating invasion of Ukraine. Juzzy here, and today is another quick update as I like to take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to the happenings on the ground in Ukraine. And as always, I like to start off with the Russian military losses. Now again, these are just estimates as we take a look at the hampered Russian forces in the region there. Also, take this wounded figure with a bit of a grain of salt. So it's just common standard war logic that for every death there is 3 wounded. So this is a multiple of 3 of this figure here. So by no means an exact figure there. But looking at the eliminated figure here, we are sitting on almost a milestone, so 49,800 Russian military personnel lost. Then we'll move across to the Russian hardware losses as well, where on the armored combat vehicle side of things, there is a stupendous 29 additional losses. On the tank side, an amazing 19 losses, and the artillery side, an incredible 10 losses there. So these are quite big figures. Even half this amount would be pretty considerably amazing, given that these figures were only about a fifth of what they currently are today. So about a month ago, I should say, they're only about a fifth or even a sixth of what we see on the page here. Now we'll move across to the map where we'll start out in outside of Ukraine again, in Belgorod, so the Belgorod Oblast, where there has been missiles launched from Belgorod, said to be S-300 missiles, which I find strange. The close proximity from the civilian city center, a Russian civilian city center, based on these photos. There's a lot more photos as well in which they choose to shoot these from. So just the complete audacity, in my opinion. Then we move across to the, not too far, the Sumy region, where Russia oddly performed quite a bit of shelling in the very north of the oblast. So interestingly, most of it was in the Znob Novgorod village. So I might just need to zoom in to find that one. It's right at the border and it eludes me. So I'll just type it in the search engine here and it should pop up momentarily. It's up very north in the Sumy Oblast. So right here, so we're talking a kilometer or two or a mile or two from the border. So it's pretty astonishingly close to the border between both of those countries. The Russian forces must be concerned that some type of Ukrainian weapon system is right at their doorstep for the Russians to be acting in this strange way indeed. Then we move across to the Ukrainian side, still in Kharkiv. So the Ukrainian army hit a Russian weapons depot in Balakliva, and let's just load that up here. So I'll just pop that into the engine there as well, just to make things a bit quicker. And it was quite an explosion, quite a sight of sorts. So here we go. I've got a funny related to this at the end of the video, so stay watching maybe till that. But basically, quite the weapons depot was exploded. This is just a quick photo. I've seen the video as well. It's very hard to get a copy of, usually isn't, and quite the explosion indeed. And then we move down to the ever-contested Donbas region. So there was a Ukrainian push here. In fact, you'll see it here. This is quite incredible in my opinion. So I'm zoomed all the way in. So I talk about natural land borders that are hard for Russia to pass for some reason. But there is the Seversky Donets River right here. It's quite a long one. And in the last day, if we go back and forth on the map, Ukraine actually liberated a whole bunch of the territory there, which is pretty incredible. Good for them. So they may be using the bridge or a pontoon bridge, something like this. It's really good to see that Ukraine has this capability to jump over rivers and liberate territory, where Russia, obviously, looking at all this, has had quite the issue doing that sort of thing. So very good to see indeed. Also in the Donbas region, Horlivka. Now there was yet another bit of fire and explosions at an ammunition depot in Horlivka. So that is, I should know it, I've been there enough. So just above Donetsk, there it is, where this Oinky Pig is. So we've actually got an ammunitions depot, probably a few. The last one that exploded was a little bit north of the city. And Horlivka is no stranger to getting ammo dumps exploded. So obviously this is Russian-held territory again. They just don't seem to learn. It's just too close to the front line. Even having said that, if I pull up the ruler, 10 k's, it's about 6 kilometers. Yeah, it's just too close to the front line. What Russia has sometimes been doing is pushing their ammo depots way back, which slows down their whole logistics process. But sometimes, I guess, they just don't want to do that, or they can't do that, and it just keeps getting hit again. I'm not sure who's which commanders are saying, yeah, push all your stuff to the front line, but it's just such a common situation here where ammo dumps at the front line are still getting exploded all the time with. Then we move across to Nikopol in the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast here. So it's just across the river from the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. And I probably like to say at this point, another day in Nikopol, another residential home's window shattered from Russian shelling like this photo depicts here. So due to a bit of close proximity of the impact explosions, the amount of times that I've seen this, it just reminds me of the pure madness of the invasion and the senselessness of it all, really. Then we move down to Melitopol, the city of Melitopol. I don't have a great deal of information about this one, but there was actually a blackout. So power blackout in Melitopol may have been from explosions. It could have been from the shutdown of the nuclear power plant that's just about 100 miles north of it. A plant, by the way, that is operating nowhere near to its capacity due to the Russian invasion there. Then we move across to the newly contested, or the very popular area in the news these days, so the Kherson region, particularly the front lines, and all of this red, of course, is the Russian-occupied area there. And starting off, no shortage of ammunition depot explosions here, including in Tomnya Balka, which is at the very bottom left, sort of the east side. The southwest side here. There it is, Tomnya Balka. So a bit of that happened, as might be expected. And we've got a bit of good news up the top. Now, this isn't the most up-to-date map because Ukraine isn't giving away all of their positions just yet with this ongoing counter-offensive. But you'll see this liberated area here. So I'll go backwards and forwards. So we have basically a military flag was raised here, as shown in the picture, on the roof of the Vosokopilia Hospital in Vosokopilia. There we go. So that's always nice to see. Quite symbolic, if I could say that right. So I'm sure in a year, 2 years, 3 years time, a photo exactly just like this one here, will be shown in some of the quote-unquote history books. Also, being that it was captured, or should I say liberated, from the Russian invasion, there is also a bit of a video of the Ukrainians capturing a BRT-D armored personnel carrier as well. And effectively, Ukraine's military has reported further in the last 24-hour reporting period about Russia continuing to sustain losses in southern Ukraine, talking about this Kherson Oblast region here, the front lines really. And the Operational Command South reported that the Ukrainian forces eliminated 104 Russian troops, destroyed 6 tanks, 9 Mr. S and Mr. B howitzers, 1 UAV, and 26 armored and military vehicles. But let's get into some strategy here, what I believe might be going on, and some others do too. So the Ukrainian forces, just to start off with, they targeted this E58 river bridge and road here. This is the Inulets River in Darivka, as you can see there. This is due to Russians setting up a pontoon bridge right next to it. They really want to get across that river, and there's not a lot of spots where the Russians can do so. Let's see. Also, we don't see the updates on the map really yet, but it appears that the Ukrainian offensive is trying to split this west northern bank above the Dnipro River into 3 separate sections. Not 2, but actually 3. Now, the first one is here. See, we've got to push here, and it is further than this, but we can't yet see it. The Ukrainians want to push all the way down to the Dnipro River there. Effectively, everything on the east side of the T-2207 highway, this one here, they want to cut all the Russians off there, kind of corner them in a way. So anything east of that means that the Russian forces don't have the ability to access any crossings over the Dnipro River, save from swimming. And let's see what swimming would look like. 4.2 kilometers, let's say about 2.5 miles. So not really generally something that they can do. Let's see, and okay, so that's part one. So that'll be the first third that Ukraine is looking to separate out. The second third is obviously the Inuits River there, and the T-2207 highway that I've just mentioned there. And of course, the third part would be the very south, just north of the Dnipro River. So this operational strategy does have its bonuses. Russians from all 3 sections wouldn't be able to assist one another. There would be no interplay of Russian forces, and they wouldn't. Their supply lines would continue to be cut. It may have a different outcome for each third. One third might actually be, captured or surrender. Another third might just be obliterated. The other third might be, I don't know, try to go for the swim, go for the water, see what happens there. But it's really interesting, this whole section, when you really dig down into it, how this is all going to play out and what new information comes to light every day. Also, just quickly, the Russian ferry staging area next to the Antonivsky Bridge, so right here, has been hit this morning by a Ukrainian long-range fire. Now, there was a pontoon bridge here that the Russians built. It only got, I think, 30-40% of the way, not very far. Russians have been forced to use ferries, very slow, very inefficient ferries to get ordnance, ammunition, supplies, food rations, all sorts of things across. But an explosion here showing the ferry staging area just getting obliterated, potentially by a HIMARS, for instance, or some high precision rocket missile system that Ukraine uses. Also, in this general region that I can't actually say where, I don't exactly know, but yet more Russian targets have been hit by the Ukrainian Bayraktar TB2 drones. In this footage of what appears to be 2 T-62 tanks. And I guess a T-62 tank, it's not a T-72, it's not a T-80 or 90. We're talking old Soviet era Russian tanks that Russians are, you could say, forced to use. Also, a bit further in a port near Mykolaiv, so right here, the Russian military destroyed grain silos. Yeah, so yeah, that's right. This is the very same Russia that said to Ukraine, fine, let the grain ships go out there. And yet they're still kicking up some grain silos here. Not very cool at all. Okay, and we'll just quickly move across to a little bit of news today. See how we go. So the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said in the morning report that due to Russia's lack of precise weapons, Russia has used over 500 S-300 missiles against ground targets in Ukraine. They're going pure 100% old-fashioned Soviet-era weaponry. And in more news, the Estonian PM calls for complete isolation of Russia. The PM said that such a policy should apply until all Ukrainian territories are liberated. Until Ukraine pushes Russia out of its territory, the free world must continue to isolate Russia and increase sanctions. So good on you, Estonia. I can't see you on this map, but I can see you on another map, and we'll load out because... And I say this almost every day now, these Baltic nations that border Russia are very ballsy in the political rhetoric they use, very anti-Moscow, anti-Kremlin, anti-Russian. and very pro Ukrainian democracy. So look at Estonia right there. Good on you. And in more news, Russian troops turn 5 Melitopol schools into military bases. Yeah, kid you not. So this is just like the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant to me, in my opinion. Ukraine forces aren't going to target any school buildings at the drop of a hat unless they get full clearance confirming that there will be no children inside these buildings. So again, a bit of a dick move by Russia, gotta say. And in some more news nearby, so Russian military had actually blocked humanitarian aid to occupied Enerhodar, right where the nuclear power plant is, for the second day in a row. The city's mayor said Russians turned back the trucks, claiming the city's residents don't need anything. So I won't comment on that one today. Also, an intercepted call sheds light on poor conditions faced by Russian troops in Ukraine with this bit of news here. So in a conversation intercepted by Ukrainian Defense Ministry's intelligence department, a Russian soldier says new Russian recruits were not properly equipped. According to the soldier, they were not given their own uniforms or sleeping bags, and the weapon he was handed did not even operate properly. Which comes across to this next bit of news where Russian military units in southern Ukraine actually refused to fight recently. So Ukraine's Operational Command South reported that the Russian 127th Regiment of the 1st Army Corps refused to perform their duties due to a lack of support and poor conditions, including a lack of water. So from this ISW report, this DNR regiment was formed in early April by forcefully mobilizing its personnel alongside 4 other DNR regiments. So that's basically the Donbas soldiers of sorts there. Now, it's probably no wonder that morale is low amongst these Russian ranks at the moment, probably more than ever. And just a little bit last bit of news, or a bit of a funny to round it all off with. I'm not sure if this is news or funny, but or either both of the two. But in Kharkiv, so the Balaklia area here near Izium, Russian soldiers broke into a house in Balaklia in this Kharkiv region to steal a pan and a backpack. Not even kidding. So the 2 clever crooks posed for the camera in the doorbell, not realizing just before they put their balaclavas on. Now, this is funny, not because they tried to hide their identity right in front of the doorbell camera, which is still pretty funny, but because they've gone to steal just basic food cooking equipment, of which has been pretty well reported now that Russian soldiers are low on basic necessities. Even just yesterday and a moment ago, I've reported on this. It just keeps coming up in the news, where basically Russian soldiers are not getting their basic needs met in many ways, including food rations, pay from their military contracts, not getting paid, suitable clothing, and now pots and pans. Now, I'm also guessing these guys are probably Russian ethnic minorities from low socioeconomic areas, really east of Russia, lured with the promises of fame and fortune. but instead coming away with pots and pans. Sorry, try not to laugh there. Okay, so that's about it for now, guys. Have a good night. Please comment, subscribe, hit that like button. Try to ignore those plenty of trolls in the comments, and I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.